Top of the mornings to you all. Andy's back with a brand new video. How we doing all? That was my woeful attempt of an accent, and I'll promise to never ever do it again. We're back with a FIFA 22 tactics video, the first one of the new game. We're out of sort of the preview early access now. People have got the pre-order early access, and then we're sort of getting closer to the main event, as it were. Played a lot of games. Got pretty decent record so far. We're not doing too bad. I think we only lost one game so far, but drawn a couple and won the majority. Different game this year, different game. I like it. You don't have to rely on pace. All you just want to rely on a through ball spam, take it to corner, cut it back. All them horrible tactics from FIFA 21, if you've not played it yet, you're going to have a bad time. All those that saw a Thiago Silva in defence and a Laporte with a 50 and 60 pace, and you used to laugh at them and think, ha ha ha. It don't matter. If they've got them defensive stats, it's all about key stats this year. There is still an influence, and you can still get that through ball, and there's still things that you can do. But generally now, it's all about key stats in positions. And when you flick right on your analog stick, on the right analog stick, and you can change between, nations and have a look at the weak foot and whatnot. There's key stats, and a lot of people seem to be overlooking that those key stats are key. So if somebody's got high defensive awareness, high defensive positioning, but they've still got that pace, it doesn't matter, because they'll drop off back. What is your counter-attacking to get back into position anyway? So, I've been bullied by, you see a team of, say, Casemiro, Thiago Silva, even Ramos's and things like that have got high defensive stats in past games, but they've got no pace. Normally you think one through ball to rule them all and in the darkness behind them, and it's game over. In this one now, they will give you a bad time because you just can't rely on that. And that's where most of my wins have come from. That being said, on the attacking front, you do have to build up play a lot more. Sort of a bit more like football. It's got a bit more sim that you have to sort of pull players out of position, you have to create space, you have to pass it back, whatnot, and you can find that even me, who can adapt to games, I still find that lacking presence of getting people forward. Last year, wider formations seemed to do quite well. I've gone through a few formations, and I've gone back to a tactic that I used a couple of 3 games ago, probably 2 or 3 games ago, that I used to rely on, which is the 4-1-2-1-2. So without me waffling any further, let's get into it. This tactic has worked against every team I've come across. It has had no sort of weakness. I haven't got a fully meta team or anything, or even close. 4-2-2 is just our setup in game, just for Kem. But I actually play the 4-1-2-1-2 in game, and we'll go over it. And hopefully, because there has been a little bit of a bug where things are not saving. So 4-1-2-1-2, 4-1-2-1-2-1-2-1-2 in game, the narrow formation. As I say, may not be for you. A lot of people are using 4-3-3s, but for this, it works for me. It works exactly how I want it to. I can play through the middle, and I've got cover, and having that extra man sort of in the middle between your midfield and defense, midfield and attack, and having that man in the middle between your defense and your midfield, it just stops the through balls for those that do want to try it. It gives you options in attack, and how I've got set up, you've got threats everywhere all the time. So defensive style, balanced. I've tried a few. I've tried the pressure things, and they've just not worked. I've even set up tactics that I had sort of back end of last year. They've not been great, so balance seems to be the best. Width 50, I've just left it as it is. I don't see the point in having a narrow formation and you stretching it wide, whereas I don't see too much point this year in having a wide formation and condensing it, so 50. Depth 60. I've not had no problem with this, pushing it upfield. You could probably push it up a little bit further, but your defence this year sits so far back, and I think it's to stop that through ball spam as well. But because, like I say, but if you've got semi-okay defenders and above, they'll track back anyway, and you'll normally find that the one, especially centre back, the one with the most defensive awareness and positioning, he'll drop back anyway. So as soon as they get the ball, you'll get one of them dropping back, and you think, well, that might, create an offside issue, with them breaking through, but it doesn't. Once you see it in game, it doesn't. So depth, I just push them a little bit forward on 60. Build up play. Again, tried a couple, but I think balance seems to be the best, just because it sort of keeps everybody in formation. Sorry, I'm getting bugged up again. It's absolutely freezing outside and peeing it down, but I'm still suffering with allergies. So snuffle. But yeah, it keeps everybody in position. You're not having everybody running around about wild men. But with chance creation, I've put it on forward runs just to get when you do break. Because of the tactics that I've got set up on individual players, it just pushes you forward, and you seem to have a lot more threat and goals coming from midfield rather than your strikers, and your strikers are just there to sort of poach. Players in box, just 5. As I say, you don't want to commit too many. And you again, with how the tactics work, it'll push people up anyway. And then corners and free kicks, up to you, but free kicks I'm normally going straight at the net anyway, or I'm passing it in space. And then corners, I only need a couple in there. Corners are pretty good this year if you know what you're doing, so I just need my main men in there. And again, it saves you from that counter. Formation, as I say, is the 4-1-2-1-2. This is how I set up in game. As I say, you'll look at this team and you'll think, I mean, my midfield's alright, attacks alright, and just everything's alright. Martinez, I will say, is one of the best keepers that I've used in FIFA ever. But FIFA keepers are good this year anyway. And like I say, Ake, Bailey, not the fastest players. I have got shadows on them, but you don't need it. Like I say, I've come up against Thiago's and Laporte's and other slower players, like say Casemiro's in midfield. It's nice to have a bit of that pace, and you do notice it in game. However, as long as the key stats are there, don't worry about it too much. But anyway, we'll start at the back. Keepers, nothing. Balanced, unbalanced. Don't need it. Stay back attacking, normal interceptions. Stick to position on your centre backs. Nothing changes there. Left back, stay back while attacking, normal intersections. Mixed attack. Right back, stay back while attacking, normal interceptions, mixed attack. So pretty much just standard, nothing there, because you just want that. But to me, because the back line's so good, and because I play narrow, my wing backs are there if I see that space. Because everybody gets used to you playing narrow, I use my wing backs if I want to run. I don't want them bombing up the field to leave me exposed at the back anyway. So that's fine. So CDM, cut passing lane, stay back while attacking, normal interceptions, and cover centre while sticking to position. Sissoko, cheap option this year. Don't know why. I find him great. Sorry, we have to take a tablet in a minute. But again, staying back just allows him to cover that defence, cut passing lanes. Again, just stops that through ball spam should anybody try it. And then with his 2 CMs anyway, they'll sort the rest of it out for you. So it's just giving you that extra option at the back, just should anybody try anything sneaky. Over on the left side here, I do have him on get forward just to have that support, and that's what falls in line with that get forward tactic on your main page. So you want somebody here with decent shooting, and I found Saul here. I've always liked him in previous FIFAs, but he's just such a well-rounded card. I've put an engine on him purely because I've just not got that many chemistry styles. I probably would put maybe even a hunter on him to get the pace up and just have that extra shooting as well. But get forward, balance crossing runs, normal interception, stick possession, and cover wing. You can, if you wish, put cover centre, but I find cover wing just drops because people are still in that mindset. That's why I've not done it yet until people sort of get used to it. Have it on cover wing. Purely because people are still in that mindset, get the ball out wide and try and blast it down the wings, and he just stops it, and it stops it really well. And then you've just got that attacking threat from him. Over on the right side, Kovacic, balanced, normal, stick position, cover wing. So this guy, again, he just sort of acts as a pivot point, hangs around the midfield for you, he'll cover that wing, stop them counter-attacks for you, and if you need to, again, you want fairly rounded players. I do want De Bruyne in this position. Eventually, once I get the coins, I've invested in a lot of players at the minute to get my coins up hopefully next week or when the Mbappe drops. But again, this is just a player that just sort of sits around. He doesn't commit too much. You can play with him if you want. So again, I've chose Kovacic just because of lack of options really at the minute, but he does a good enough job anyway to sort of hold up play and then get the ball either into the midfield and pass sideways. Don't be worried about passing sideways or passing backwards in this game. Honestly, it will help you a lot more than just trying to spam the ball forward, and that's where most of my wins are coming from, because people just forward, and that's all we did for a year. But if you've noticed my videos from before, I always break it down a little bit more, and I don't play that way inclined. So fair play to EA, and with FIFA this year, I love it. I hope they don't change it, but that's what we're doing over on the right side. King Kai Havertz, what a player. I did have Lingard here for a little bit, who is surprisingly good. But Kai, what a guy he's been since I picked him up. But stay forward, balanced crossing runs, sticks position, normal interceptions. Nothing too confusing or too in-depth here. Just having to stay forward, because again, with your midfield, how it's set up, it's the sort of one side sort of pushing up while the other side's covering for you in defence, and it just offers, especially as you start getting up to the box, it just offers so many attacking options. With him staying forward and with his attacking AI, a lot of my goals are coming from Havertz now. I've picked him up. Great card, fairly cheap. Bang the hawk on him just to get his shooting up, a little bit of pace, but more than that, just his physicals as well, just to plough through. Because as I say, some of the CDMs, like you've seen a lot more like Casemiro's and things, who are a lot more physical than what you are. So just to try and bundle past them, that's why I've gone with a hawk there. And with your attackers, you've got a couple of options. So I've got Lukaku, who's an absolute animal. I mean, he doesn't do too much apart from run forward, but he will score your goals. And Richarlison, who I'm possibly going to change out for Jesus, though I do quite like Aubameyang this year. You can change this a little bit. Now, with how I've got set up, because most of my goals are coming from this guy, and Saul's a massive threat as well, your strikers are there to sort of play possum and drag people out of position. So what I've done is stay central, target man, basic and normal. So with target man, with Richarlison, you want your more nimble player, the guy with the better agility. So your hold-up player, people like Felix and stuff would be perfect for this role. But basically, whoever's the more agile on your team, that's who you want. Have him as a target man, because he'll hang around on the edge of the box, and just through sort of some like bliminal, or habit, muscle memory, whatever you want to call it, people will be looking at these two all the time. Maybe Havertz, they're not really looking at Saul. So while they're concentrating on these three mainly, they're not watching this guy come in. So if you're having both of your strikers bomb forward all the time, it becomes easy to read. But with this guy sat around here and waiting for that ball, you've got Saul can nip in down here, you've got Havertz who can come through the middle, or Lukaku, he's stay central, getting behind, basic, and he's going to be bombing forward. So they're like, oh, hang on a minute, he's going there. You've got a good striker here, and I found he's really good with finesse shots as well. To say shooting's not that great, I have been banging some good shots in with Richarlison. Sorry, just cover that. Stay central, getting behind, normal interceptions, basic defensive support. And that's what it's doing for you guys. So he's bombing forward. You've got Havertz offering a threat and loitering round here. Richarlison will be sort of hanging on the side, ready to go, and then he's ready to turn and lay it off to one of these two. You'll have Kovacic sort of sitting up here, waiting, but then Saul's going to come in as well. So automatically you've got 4 attackers then, and then all this lot are just sat waiting for that. If should anything happen, Kovacic can pick it up. If you get past him, you've got all these waiting to counter again, and then all this lot are ready to attack again and catch people off guard. And this formation and tactic, as even though I was sort of picking up wins, it were a bit less exciting, if you like. Now I've changed it to this. I mean, I used to love 4-1-2, as I say, 4-1-2-1-2. It didn't work last year because you got hit with the wide players too much. But this year, for me anyway, it's been perfect, and it's changed my game. Even on squad battles, that is a lot harder this year, and I'm actually enjoying squad battles as well. Purely because it's not a chore. You're not getting it. You'll still get the odd game that's a 20-game goal fest, but most of it actually feels like you're playing against somebody. So it's not a chore, and it's actually quite good for getting up the basics of the game, and it keeps you on your toes a little bit more. And I was struggling with that. Drop this formation on, and even with that, it's still a challenge, but it just plays a lot better. But again, in Rivals, as I say, put it on, and it just seems people don't know how to deal with it. So hopefully you ignore everything I say. You don't use this tactic and beat me with it. I will be looking at more and more tactics, but at the minute, this is the one that I'm using. Nothing else comes close. If you're looking just for an average tactic that you don't want to mess about with anything, I'd recommend just a basic 4-4-2. That works quite well, but it can be a bit flat in attack. But it did well, but this, guys, is the one for me. So it's good to be back. I'm loving FIFA this year. Best one in a long time. It just shows you what a difference a few tweaks can make. Obviously, I'm playing on new gen. I did drop back and play on the Xbox One version, and it just felt horrible. It just really felt. So for those of you thinking, what am I on about? Because you're playing on last gen, then maybe you're not getting the love for it I am, but there's a big difference between old and new gen, and I love it, and I can't play old gen because of it, because there's just that difference. But anyway, that's enough for me waffling, guys. So as always, thanks for returning. It's good to see you all back. So if you can like the video, comment down below if you want me to set up any particular formations for you guys and have a play around. As I say, I've done a couple of squad builders. If you want me to put teams together for you, again, drop it down below. Hybrids, leagues, top end, low end, starter, mid, bottom, end game. Not end game, but you know what I mean. Drop it down below. But the big one for me, guys, is it's slowly creeping up. We're approaching 200 now. But if you can subscribe, that'd be absolute fantastic. But until then, I hope you enjoy FIFA as much as I do. Enjoy gaming as always, guys. Stay safe with things I are. But other than that, we'll see you in the next one. And as always, peace and love, guys. And yeah, take it easy.